This week we're going to work on Monet and his inspiration, and the things that he did as an artist. And one of the things he's best known for was his gardens. One of the things that's really interesting about his work is huge. I'll bring a book in and show you, but this is just a small sample of how large this stuff was. It you know, it takes up an entire rooms and galleries and things. So he worked very large. Okay, a couple of things too that when you first see his work, this is some of his work here, is that you see, you know, where are all these clouds? Well, basically, where are these? This is clouds. This is the water, but this is the clouds, and you can see this is one of his favorite gardens, and you can see what he did was the white coming through here. That's the clouds. So you've got the lily pads right here, sitting on the water, but what's coming through the water are the reflections of the sky or even the trees. I believe these trees here are actually the ones like this weeping willow, that are actually hanging down in front. So the things closest to you actually might be the hanging pieces of tree here, the weeping willow, and then you've got the lily pads as a number 2, and then number 3, you've got this reflection of whatever the sky tone, whatever's going on in the sky. So I think it's got a very, very interesting composition to it. I don't think there's too many artists that basically do paintings of reflections of things, which I thought was quite interesting. So the other technique we're going to look at, so this is going to be the work we're going to do this week, and we'll do this inside the studio, is I'm going to show you another technique for organizing your palette, or your canvas, I should say. And we're going to take a ruler. And what I'm going to do is just simply put some quick lines around like this. And we're going to use tape. We're going to just tape off some of your work. Now, sometimes the tape can be a little hard, or maybe a little too sticky. So sometimes you can take it and sort of just run it in your fingers like this. Maybe sort of run it, doesn't make quite so sticky, or across the top of your hand or your fingers or something, just to kind of get the stickiness off. But what we're going to do, we're actually going to tape out an area here, and hopefully this would work for us. This is another popular technique by watercolorists. Tape out their border. And one thing you want to make sure you do, you got to make sure the piece of work is really dry before you pull the tape up, because then the fear is that you could actually pull the paper up if the water gets underneath it. So it's one of these deals where it's the last, you know, maybe a day after you paint to actually pull the tape off. But I thought I would at least show you this is one potential technique. We'll just push it down like this. There, okay. There, we get started. Got my water. This is my sample piece here. And what I'm going to do first, I'm going to start building up these blues in and around the lily pads. I'm going to try and keep, obviously, the white of the lily pad flower, keep that bright. I'm not too worried about the dark here, because obviously the whipping willows, that'll go a little darker. But I want to make sure I maintain this really nice light area of blue. And we could use probably a couple different types of blue here. I'm using the blues in the back. Yes, these two here. So I'll be using these blues, a little bit, just basically anything on my palette that's blue, even a little purple in here, and I'll be putting that on this piece of work. I've got kind of a focus through here like this, like a triangle. That's kind of what I'm headed for. But this is going to be my lightest, my really brightest areas, like right in the middle. Maybe a little bit of purple. Here I'm sort of making room for the long branches. And then my lily pads will be down in here. I can always go back in later. But I see how the blue gets darker here, which is kind of interesting to me because it's sort of like using a horizon, you'd go the reverse. Like the lower you get towards the ground plane, actually as the surface of the earth, it's sort of lighter, then gets darker as you go up. But because this is a mirror, this is the water, so it's mirrored reversed, actually you might get some of the darkest blues here at the bottom. Okay, I think that's enough sky. I think I'm going to go in, again, greens. I'm using all the palettes, all the greens I can find here. Start with a little bit of a lighter one. Yeah, I'm not too worried if they actually blend in together a little bit. Start with a lighter. More concerned about making sure I have enough white for the flower to come through. Again, I'm not too worried about going with the lighter green, because I know like the darker green, it would be pretty easy to get through. So I can always go darker. And see, I'm sort of just using the tip. So I'm taking the edge of the tip of my brush to make it look like little leaves. Kind of let that hang down here like this. Might find a little more blue in between here, just a little bit. I think what I'll do now is the lilies themselves have a little bit of pink in the base. So I think what I'm going to do is just sort of put down some pink where I want the lilies to go. And that kind of outlines. I can put one down here. Again, this is sort of an interpretation of Monet's work, because we can do as we please. So I'm just going to make the lilies themselves as pink. I can come back in later and make them darker. That'll be one there. And that'll be the top of another one here. And this might be one here a little bit. Okay. So I just got a few lilies here. And then I can go back in and get some of this darker blue. Some of this reflection here. Combination of some dry brush and a little bit of wet, and I'm going to put it up against the tape, just to see how well this works. purposely making it darker here on the outside this way as it moves in. And it tends to, that way it tends to bring your eye in. It creates a, and with some of this blue, we can actually go back and forth and create some of that water, maybe some of the water texture you might see. Let's see, a little bit of green here on this. Looks like this actually kind of comes through. I think this might not be a bad place to take a break. I think this is what I'll do. I'm gonna take a break here, I think. And then I want to do a little more detail work on the flowers. I think they need to kind of look like they need to have a little more substance to them, more detail than what I'm doing here. So yeah, I think that's, yep, good time for a break. I think that's good. Okay, I'm just gonna take a break and we'll be right back.